like solidarity, but like together.
Yeah. Solidarity.
Why did it do that? We're not going live in 5 minutes. Ugh. This fucking thing. Oh, I have to save settings. Okay. I see how it is. Alright, and that's gonna really fuck me up tomorrow, but that's okay. There we go. Okay, so we have a minute until we go live. Based on the adjustments that I made. Ugh.
Yeah, maintain it. Or for comedic effect, piss her off on purpose, and then have her trash herself.
Woo!
You can develop like a cohort system for like first saving you from a dead room. Don't worry about it.
Blink twice if you're being held against your will. Probably just showed the
Yeah. Okay. God. Honestly, like, half of this time is dedicated to me, like... Oh, wait, I don't think I'm muted. That's fine. I guess I should unmute myself. God. It's such a clusterfuck today already, guys. We are in for a treat. Let me fix audio so that people can hear your lovely voices. And
I see it. It's nice.
1, 2, 3. We're live! Oh my god, it was so planned and so smooth. Woo. All right. Yeah, I can. It's a good time. Anyway, hello and welcome to tonight's episode of Too Funny Feedback. My name is Tom, and co-hosting this show with me again is the lovely Roz. Roz also co-hosts Laughing Into the Void with me, which airs at this same time and place on Wednesdays. And also the, how would you describe Mondo, Roz?
I'm one of the 2 hosts of Mondo Baltimore, which is like a B movie night that is usually live, but streaming every week right now. So
And it's on Fridays, right?
yeah, it's Fridays. Clip show starts at 7, and the movie starts at 8. We show terrible movies that are also so bad they're good.
So they should go to, like, Cast Mondo Baltimore Fridays at 7.
Yep.
All right, so that's where you can find that. It's a good time. I'm gonna try and check it out this Friday.
I'm actually not hosting this Friday. We're gonna
Never
have a guest
mind.
host.
Fuck that. Don't go this
Next
Friday. Go the
Friday.
Friday after. And also, anyway, back to the episode description. Today, each of our comedians will be performing a 5-minute set. After your set, Roz and I will be giving about 5 minutes of feedback before moving on to the next comedian. And then while we invite your discussion during your allotted time, we're consistently booked for this show, except that's not true tonight. We only have 4 comedians if Desiree comes. So if we don't have time to address your concerns, follow up with us via email or with me on Facebook, and I'll be happy to go into more depth. To our audience, keep in mind as we get started that our intention is to help facilitate the growth of these comedians who come to us with varying levels of experience. Also, comedy is subjective, blah blah blah, and you hate us. We're also learning how to give feedback, is what I'm trying to say. Additionally, if you enjoy the show and want to support the stream, please consider making a donation while watching at district-comedy.live or liking, sharing, / subscribing to the District Comedy platforms. That also helps. The link to all that can be found in the episode description. Also, mark your calendars for 8:30 p.m. Eastern, March 19th, as we bring Stand Up for a Cause back, this time for the AIDS Committee of Toronto, ACT. I'm really excited to be supporting such a great cause. It's going to be what I thought was all Canadian comedians, but apparently one American snuck in there under the guise of a Canadian. I talked to Ross about this earlier. It is a real embarrassing situation. And the last thing I'll say is that we're also trying a new show this Sunday at 8 called Jack Off with Friends, where we play Jackbox games, tournament style, which apparently is, it insinuates things other than what I intended, which was like Face Off, but with Jackbox. Anyway, 3 rounds of Quiplash. You can sign up for that, where you can sign up for everything else at district-comedy.com/signups, and I'm done talking. Woo, 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 woo! Yeah!
Woo!
Cool. Awesome. How are you guys doing?
Good.
Okay.
Good.
Right.
Good. All right. So we'll just
High energy.
high energy. Awesome. Okay. So like I said, we're only waiting on one other person. So if anybody wants to volunteer to go first, or I can spin the wheel that. Oh, okay, Sean.
No. Spin the wheel. That's more fun.
Yeah, but nobody else can see the wheel, so it's not as fun for the audience. It's something that I haven't been able to migrate to the streaming software yet. Oh shit, nobody can see us yet either. This is.
Oh no.
What the fuck is going on with me tonight? Oh my god. Oh my god. This is all. They're seeing 3 different screens right now. There we go. Okay. All right. So I heard Sean. It is.
Oh no, I was just waving because you could see it.
Yeah, now they can see us. We
All
look
right.
great.
All right. Yeah. No. Spinning wheel. And I'm gonna have to narrate this. All right. It landed on John. How do you feel, John? You feeling good? You ready to go first?
Yeah. Let me just adjust the lighting. It's in my head now. Give me 1 second.
I just imagine it's like the angel in the corner. Okay, no, angel's dead.
Oh, look at that. It's 18% better.
It's
I'm
fine.
excited.
Woo, woo, woo.
Okay.
All right, so give it up for our first comedian, John O'Keefe. Woo, 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 woo.
Hello, everybody. How are you? It's great to
Good.
be back
Woo, woo.
here again. I love this gig. You know, that's why I'm always here. I used to live alone, and sometimes I would feed stray cats that came to my window. I think if there's a test for male loneliness, that's probably it, you know. Mr. O'Keefe, do you feed stray cats in your tidy whities? You do. Well, that's an F for being a freak. You're a freak. I don't live in that house anymore. This is true because it had an outdoor toilet. Maybe that's why there were so many cats around. So I moved out, and by that I mean I was evicted. I still had to get evicted to move out to get a house with a toilet inside. That's where I am in my life. Over lockdown, I moved in with my girlfriend, which means I moved in with an investigator. She's monitoring my performance, kind of like Tony Robbins, but she's more focused on cleaning plates. And I adore her. But before we moved in together, we got along great. Now she wants me to pay half the rent, but not have any of my stuff in the apartment. Besides my flat screen, because that's handy. Everything else can go in the attic, including myself. But look, that's life. That's the power struggle when you move in together. It's always the same. And if we're with someone, we feel smothered, don't we? We're just like, I just need some time to myself, like 17 hours a day. The other 7 we can sleep. And if we're alone, we feel pathetic. Like, I don't think she's ever coming back from the shop. I'm still growing in the relationship. I'm improving, which is to say, I'm still being improved in the relationship by my girlfriend. I'm growing. It's just against my will. I've decided to take her relentless feedback about all my qualities. I'm like a plant she's watering with expectations and pruning with suggestions. And you know what's crazy? I'm not trying to be negative. I have improved. I really have. I quit drinking. I did lots of positive things. Great. But here's what's crazy. The new version of me, the more mature version of me, is now the lowest version of me that's humanly acceptable in this relationship. And if I don't shape up again soon, there's a review coming. Like, I feel like an employee who's worked really hard, got promoted, but instead of respect, I just have more responsibilities, longer hours, and an angrier boss. Like, I didn't apply to work here in the first place. If you remember, you headhunted me for the role. I was happy freelancing. So wait, you tell me to grow and change and develop, and then I do. And now I have to do that all over again. Like, what kind of a Ponzi scheme are you running, lady? I'm not made of potential. I have a limit. I'm like a cactus. They grow about 10 inches a decade because a cactus is realistic. Unlike her expectations. Look, I've thought about this a lot, right? This is my potential. I can get a driving license. I'll never buy a car. And I can get a girlfriend, but I'll never make her happy. It's great. But that's love. And thank God for love. But we've all had unrequited love too, right? Most of us anyway. Unrequited love is when you love someone and they know that they're better than you. I used to chase a girl around the classroom when I was 9, and I was so in love with her, Sinead. She had a contempt for me beyond her years. My teacher even told me, John, don't chase girls. I think he just used different words like be careful and her parents. So didn't work out with me and Sinead. She ended up getting pregnant, like as an adult, by a guy who married her first. She wasn't on the news or on TV or anything, but I was still her first weird guy. And every woman needs that guy, right? You guys know. I was her first annoying guy, wouldn't take no for an answer. I think I just confused a misjudged smile and possible erections for a passionate love affair. But as Dad always said to me, John, love is when a person you love hates you. And I was like, Dad, that's beautiful. I don't know what my plan was to woo her, besides giving her crayons and an extra milk carton with a wink, like, see, I can provide for you. But at least this kind of childhood behavior is optimistic, which scientifically links with later stupidity. The only regret I have is that I didn't try to make her jealous by hitting on her sister, who was around 5 at the time. And I was an older man of 9, worldly. Probably should have just cut my losses and married that cousin, but sure, look, we all have regrets. Maybe I'll just adopt a cat and I'll name it COVID, because that's all I can think about nowadays. Anyway, guys, I'm going to leave it there. That's about my time. My name is John O'Keefe. Thank you very much, as always.
Woo, 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 woo! Give it up for John O'Keefe, everybody! Woo! Awesome. I'm just going to stop that timer there, because it's distracting when it is not supposed to be the focus. But yeah, cool. I'll jump into it. I liked a lot of the stuff. I know some of it we've heard before, or at least I've heard before. I don't know about you, Roz, but like the cat bit, I always love when you start off with that. I think it's strong, and then I thought it was smart the way that you knew, obviously you knew beforehand that this was going to be a 5-minute set, but I think that it felt like you kept that in mind because you started and ended with a cats thing, which I thought was really fun writing-wise, just being able to bookend it like that. I think that sometimes it's really one of the things that's uncomfortable about doing Zoom mics is like balancing like keeping it in gallery view and like attempts to like engage with and connect with the audience. And obviously we're also hard because we're gonna look like we're not paying attention because we're writing things down. But finding the balance between like paying attention via gallery view and then what I discovered very recently looks the best is going between that and then looking straight at the camera rather than the screen. So just something to keep in mind, that anytime you can break away to like look directly at the camera is good. I liked the bit about being approved and like growing against your will. Like that entire section I thought was really fun, and it would only apply if you were doing a set for this show specifically. But it made me think of the bit of like, oh my god, she is this mic in human form, just like constantly giving feedback. That I'm assuming is good.
Yeah.
Or at least I assume that she and I both give good feedback. But yeah. And then onto the review bit. I think that you can go even more into the analogy of like relationships are like businesses, and like she's giving you a business review just because there's such a wealth of like project management or like performance appraisal specific vocabulary that anytime you can add that kind of like specific vernacular into a bit, like it's just like that level of specificity that like really I think hits it for people. So anything about like smart goals or like meeting deadlines or like any criteria they're not meeting, like it'll just add to what you already have, which is a great premise. And then I also liked careful on her parents. You had a lot of good new stuff that I liked. And I don't know if there's like anything to say beyond that, so I don't really have a critique for it. Roz may have something, but I thought it was solid. I thought it was solid.
Thank you, Tom.
Cool.
Yeah. So I also like Tom liked how you brought the cat bit back. Like it was like a nice symmetrical way to begin and end your set, I felt like. For the beginning, I felt like you needed just like one big joke like in the beginning to kind of punch it up and grab like the audience's attention. So you're talking about being so alone, you're feeding stray cats in your underwear. Like you can, make some sort of joke about like, I'm so alone that I was doing this, so I had to like make it less sad and go out in my underwear and feed stray cats or something like that. So maybe expand in the beginning there a little bit just to pull people in. Also, the outdoor toilet bit I think is really funny. You could probably expand over it. Like, I mean, I lived in a house that was advertised as having a second bathroom, and it was just like a toilet in the laundry room. And that's just like an inherently funny situation. So I definitely would say you could milk that a little bit more if you wanted to.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Good to know.
Yeah.
I also tried to keep it clean as well. So I kind of tried to took out loads of curses. That whole bit was just because it was just but I think that's funny. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I didn't say anything with those words there.
No, it's good
No,
to know
it's
that
good.
you were also like giving yourself an additional challenge though of like trying to keep it clean.
Yeah, it's really hard. Yeah.
That's my least favorite kind of comedy because it's so hard.
Yeah, and it feels a bit dishonest too when you're a piece of shit to not curse, But, it's like you're lying to the crowd. Like they know you're awful, you're awful, but yeah, whatever. Let's pretend. It's a good challenge.
Yeah. I felt like maybe just between last week and this week, maybe you don't know this material as well. Like, is it newer, kind of?
You know what's strange is that I have this weird thing where sometimes when I work on material too much, it almost gets. Now, I've actually worked on this material over the last week. Like I've only done this set, and I've been trying to keep it clean and kind of adding things in and taking stuff out. And sometimes I find that. Sometimes you do the right thing by like really trying to really condense it, take out stuff, but then sometimes in that process you can kind of lose it a little bit in the process of it. It's
Okay.
kind of weird.
Yeah, I gotcha. I would just say, watch the pace, like slow down a little bit. A couple of your punchlines I almost missed because you weren't really emphasizing them enough. So I think when you've been working on it, it's the kind of thing where it's like not fresh to you anymore. So in
You keep
some ways,
changing it, right? You're changing the word and you're rearranging things. So it's like it actually makes it harder for a while because you're relearning it and then you don't even know if it works. And it's like you have to break it apart to put it back together again.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So just slow yourself down a little bit and just kind of make sure that because audiences are dumb, they're drinking, they're tired, whatever the fuck. So just like dumb it down for them and make it easy for them to recognize, like, oh, a punchline's coming.
Yeah, for sure.
The other thing is, I thought the joke about giving a 5-year-old an extra milk carton to prove that you're a good provider was really funny. That was probably my favorite joke.
Thanks. Good to
So,
know.
yeah. Otherwise, well done.
Cool, cool.
Thank you.
And then actually, before we move on, I just want to reiterate because that was actually a really good observation, John. And I think, like, I just want to mention it, especially because, like, again, like, part of the original concept for the show is, like, one person giving writing and then the other person, like, giving delivery feedback. And that's, like, you really hit the nail on the head with, like, part of the real challenge, I think, when it comes to stand-up is how do I make these bits that are not new at all and that I've worked on and that I've edited still feel like spontaneous in the moment. That's like the acting portion of it. So just reiterating that. But as far as like the notes that Roz gave, I think that like doing what she's saying as far as like the pacing will help in making it seem spontaneous yet again. Anyway,
Cheers. Thanks, guys.
give it up again for John O'Keefe, everybody.
Yeah.
Woo, 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 woo. And up
Right,
next.
John.
What? What? Oh, I heard something. Oh, it was the mic drop. Okay. Next up on our list, we are gonna go with a great comedian. He was here last week. Give it up for David Gordon. Woo, 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 woo.
Right. Thank you, everybody. I
It's
used to
happening.
be
There we
I
go.
used to be a cashew. That's a Catholic Jew. It's an exclusive club. I got a DNA test that said I'm 48% Jewish, but it didn't say that I was Catholic at all. So I no longer identify as a cashew, and now I'm part of an even more exclusive club, a Jew with no cash. I'm 33, already showing signs of severe aging. My hairline looks like a flying V. I think that if you have a receding hairline, you should get a discount at the barber shop. If you hired someone to mow your lawn, they'll charge you based on how much lawn there is. So why should barbershops be different? My haircuts should be 30% off. Some of yours should be free. I started doing yoga recently, and even more recently, I quit. Here's a question for you intellectuals in the audience. Farting on an escalator. Now, does it follow you up? Or does it stay where you left it? I came up with that joke on an escalator. It follows you up. They should make tarps that look like shingles. I want to have kids. I want to have kids so I can hand them an iPad and pretend that I don't have kids. I'm not sure if I'd be a good parent. I got caught lying to a kid. I was leaving the grocery store and I made eye contact with a Girl Scout selling cookies. She said I could get 5 boxes for $20. I told her I didn't have $20, but I'll buy 1 box because I was hungry and because of the eye contact. And so I reached in my wallet and all I had were 20s. How about I get 5 boxes like you mentioned and we'll pretend this never happened. And now I don't have kids, but I do have a girlfriend and she's cool. But no matter how solid a foundation you have with someone, relationships are challenging. Having tough conversations with each other can be really painful. My girlfriend will say things like, "We need to talk." And I'll be like, "My back, oh, my back." So much pain. I met my previous girlfriend online. What's that old dating app? Google Maps. Her profile picture was blurry, but I liked the street she was on. the number one rival for any gang is the people covering up their spray paint. Now, our name's on this fence, that's our turf. Your name's on that fence, that's your turf. Everything is peaceful. Then the neighborhood watch shows up with their paint rollers, disturbing the peace. And the paint they use doesn't ever match. That's vandalism. Have you ever arrived at a funeral a little too happy? Everyone's mourning, and you're just happy to have a legitimate excuse to miss work. You brought a slip and slide, a t-shirt cannon, and you're making animal balloons. They're like, dude, your mom just died. All right, thank you. That's my time.
Woo! Give it up for David Gordon, everybody! Woo, 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 woo! All right, pause on the timer. Here we go. All right. So, I thought Cashew was a fun way to start. I thought that you kind of set a precedent there too, which is really nice of what I think is one of your stronger qualities, which is that misdirect. Yeah, I think I'll just like go on and talk about the other times that you did that in the show then. So, or in the set rather. But that was one where it was like a really nice misdirect as far as like very clear, and I think that like created the tension that you cut that like made the laughter. The next one was you were doing the joke about the shingles, and again, like, and I mentioned this last week, you have a very good pacing that allows you to get away with one-liners in a way that other people might not be able to get away with. And between the shingles joke and then just cutting it and taking that pause extended, like that was the joke in itself, was just like kind of, we thought it was going to go on and it felt like just set up and then no punchline, and then yeah, it was really fun. That was weirdly one of my favorite jokes of the set, which like you wouldn't think of like a joke with just a setup would be one of my favorites, but it was. And then it was that before the don't have kids thing with the iPad, which I thought was a strong joke last time. I think that I'm pretty dumb, so I'm a good like thermometer to have for like an average audience. But can you clarify what flying V is?
Oh, it's like it's from the Mighty Ducks, but like, you know, when birds are flying, like they fly in a V. Like,
oh, okay.
So I'm just saying, my hairline is like a V.
Yeah.
It's receipt. I know the lighting's bad, and so
no,
might make.
I think that's fine, and I think that I just like am not familiar enough with like Mighty Ducks. Maybe I am familiar with geese like flying in a V. But in case you start doing that bit and you find that like an audience is like me and like not very familiar, I think just even taking that extra step that you did just now, like, oh, in case you guys don't know, this is what I mean. Like, sometimes the over-explaining can be the way to like tag the joke in a way that like people understand it. The quitting yoga I thought was strong last time too. And then, so the Girl Scout cookie thing, I think provides you with an opening. I like that bit. I want you to do it the way that you did it, like when you do a set. And then if you want to expand on it for more time, once you finish the Girl Scout bit, you can also go into, because this kind of stood out for me from that series of Girl Scout bits, was the thing about eye contact, and like it'd be a good opportunity to like do more material on like loneliness. Potentially. Maybe that's just where my mind goes because that's my sense of humor. Another great misdirect was the Google Maps thing, being a dating app. And then I think the vandalism thing with the spray paint was overall pretty tight. I mean, I don't know. There's always like a part of me that's like, art is never finished. But that one felt like solid. Moving on. Maybe just like reposition it so it's not so close to the end of the set, and make sure that the end of the set is like one of the strong things, like the Mistrix that you did, maybe even the Google Maps one. But that's it from me.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I would say I thought the cashew joke was really good. I thought it was a great opener, and it was really cool how you got multiple punchlines out of one play on words, which I feel like is really good writing on your part. So, and in general, I just like your stage persona and your pacing. Like, I feel like, I don't know, I'm kind of jealous because I feel like if a joke doesn't hit, you kind of just make it seem like it just rolls off your back and you're on to the next one, which is really awesome to see, because it's like, you know, they're not always going to hit, but you have to kind of keep the show going, and it makes the audience uncomfortable when they're like, oh, this comedian is like not getting laughs, like, oh God, they're feeling it too, you know? So the one thing I would say is you're probably one of the few people I would tell to speed up a little bit. Sometimes there's like a little bit too much of a pause before your punchline, so it's like, you know, it's hard to like get into the rhythm quite that much. I thought the farting on the escalator joke was really funny, especially how you framed it, a question for the intellectuals in the room. And also, like, scientifically, I just want to know how that works.
Yeah, me too.
Heat rises, man.
Yeah, but it's not whatever. Okay. I'm gonna Google that later.
If anybody watching wants to put in the comments.
Has anyone seen Donnie Darko?
What?
What's
It's like that Donnie Darko like trail.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh my God. Okay.
Okay, accurate. Accurate facts are accurate.
Maybe I'm dating myself, but I got the flying V joke. I
did
almost,
too.
yeah.
That's just
you're
me.
dating, like hockey. No. I almost wanted you to be like, I feel like if you could bump it up, like, because I feel like just to, if you're going with the Mighty Ducks reference, I would even like play it up more. Like, you could make some sort of Emilio Estevez joke about your hairline, or talk about like, I take my hat off and it's knuckle puck time. I don't, you know, or like, you know. So I think you have a little bit of extra space to play there, because I thought that was pretty funny. And I'm a sucker for a good pop culture reference. Also, the Google Maps joke I thought was pretty funny. I would maybe modify the setup a little bit just to make it a little bit more clear, because like, it kind of took me a second to connect how you could, you know, use Google Maps as like a dating site. Like, what, you know, it took a second for the joke to translate, and I think maybe just like mix up how you're telling it a little bit to make that a little bit clearer.
Okay.
But overall, I thought it was great, and it seemed like you tightened up the Girl Scout story a little bit from last time. So good job with that too.
I appreciate it. Thank you both.
Yeah.
Whoop whoop! Give it up one more time for David Gordon, everybody! Woo 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 woo! All right. Up next, you know what? You love her. She's Canadian, and she's switched up her background to include rainbows and unicorns. Give it up for Desiree Walsh! Woo 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 woo!
Do we not have a timer anymore?
No, we do. It's there. I just
Okay.
started it.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah. So I am, as Tom said, I am Canadian. There's still no joke there. It's still more of a humble brag at this point. But I am rooting for you, America. I also believe Mighty Ducks is the greatest sports movie of all time. So I appreciated those jokes. Tom, you were probably too little when it came out. I think you might have been like just too little. Anyways, now jokes. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk on the Mighty Ducks. So I am Canadian, and I've been really enjoying doing mics with Americans because I've been learning so much about your country. One of the things I find particularly fascinating about your country is that you have so many tasty snacks. Just like so many. Like you are the inventors of Fruit Loops donuts, and I think that is quite commendable. But I find it rather gaslighting as a country that you have all these snacks but don't have universal health care, because the story should be like, have another Baconator. We'll take care of you. Not look out for little Debbie. She'll kill you. One of the things I find particularly appalling is it's $3,400 American. That's a lot of money. Like American money to go to the hospital in an ambulance if you don't have insurance. Where I am from in Canada, Ontario, that is the province I live in. Province is Canadian for state. In about 1990, they decided they were going to charge $45 for an ambulance ride. Everything else was free, just the $45. And people were livid that the government would have the audacity to charge its people $45 to go to the hospital for health care. In fact, when I was little, I was injured, and at one point my mom was like, "Oh no, I think we'll need an ambulance." And my dad said, "No, put her in the car and I'll drive real fast. I have this funeral sticker. It'll work out, because I'll be damned if I'm paying $45 for a child to go to the hospital." The other thing I've learned about your healthcare system is best case scenario. Best case scenario, if you have a baby, it's going to run you at least $10,000. That's like a bargain baby in the US. And I don't think that's fair, because having kids is bad enough. Why do we have to saddle new parents with debt, America? Why? In fact, when I was little, I'm a twin, and we were 2 months premature. And one of the things my parents used to say when we were little is, if we lived in America, your birth would have bankrupted us. And then, so one day I said, so what happens in America when people have premature babies and they can't afford them? And my mom looked at me deadpanned and said, they stay in the hospital. And I said that, like, they just live there? And she said yes. But like, and I also discovered that America doesn't have maternity leave, and I have so many questions. Mainly, like, what do new mothers do? Do they just put the baby in a bag and hope nobody notices and just like continue on to work? Yeah, this was supposed to be a lot longer, so I'm gonna end it there.
Woo! Give it up for Desiree, everybody! Woo, 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 woo. Awesome. Cool. A lot of new stuff. I'm glad to see it. I also want to just, like, before we even get into, like, the formal part of the set, I think that, like, it is such an important skill that you have developed already, and if anybody else ever has the opportunity where they're not going first in a lineup, also a really solid way to open is being able to comment either on the environment, on the audience, on the act before you, in a way that's, like, friendly and not, like, you don't want to, like, shit on the other comics. Like, the way that Desiree did was, like, ideal. Like, Mighty Ducks TED Talk was really fun. I wonder if in your set, it's very good, it's very rich, and then things then, like, I think present a challenge is, like, when you have golden nuggets like Fruit Loops donuts. how can we give that enough attention? And like, I get that it's like not what the joke is about, but like making it seem like less of a throwaway. Like, I want to highlight that great image. So if there's a way to do that, that'd be great. Somebody should give her advice on that. But
You're at the feedback.
right, at the feedback mic. Yeah, we probably should. But no, I think that like you could either do it with pacing and like let people like sit on it longer, but like you don't want to fuck up the other joke. So it's hard. It's like picking which darlings you want to kill. But
Normally I run out of time. That's why I didn't really like
oh, well,
flush that out more.
well, if you have in mind like a couple of ways to flush it out, I think especially where the placement was in your set this last time, it was earlier. That may
Okay.
be something you can do, or even like something in the middle. Just because I know people like want to start and end with their strongest stuff. And
Okay.
if you're less sure about that, but as far as like healthcare stuff, always good. You added like a couple little elements that I loved, like that's Canadian for state is what province is.
Yeah.
I'd also never heard, and this I wanted you. There were like these next two bits are basically the same note where I wanted you to expand on them more. I'd never heard the funeral sticker thing before. Like, or at least I don't think I have. And like going into more detail, like that's just the equivalent of like parking pass to anywhere, or like something like that.
Oh, that's good.
And even like, I think the additional benefit that you get from that, other than a tag, is that we do more of that thing that we've talked about before on the show, where like we're also building a relationship with the audience and letting them know more about us. So like a fun little detail like that your dad is involved with the funeral industry professionally is like a nice little tidbit. You know, everyone relates to their friendly neighborhood funeral director. But the next one that was again along those same lines was for a child to go to the hospital. I was like, I want to hear more about like, not necessarily that, but I want to hear your reaction to it. I want to hear your comment on it. Like, okay, so it's okay for an adult to do that? Like, oh, well, it's my money. I can spend it on ambulances if I want. Like, I don't know. Maybe there would be something there to kind of add to it. I missed a little bit, so I hope Roz heard the whole deal with the premature and then, but like whatever that was, I feel like served the purpose of the baby in a bag at work joke for the whole maternity leave set, which I really liked. That being said, that's it from me. Razzle dazzle, what's in your feedback nozzle?
Where
I
on the
regret
body exactly
everything.
is that nozzle located?
You know, you ask the tough questions, and that's why I like you. Tough questions like that on Laughing Into the Void tomorrow at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. Oh my god.
Feedback fresh from the nozzle. Okay. Yeah, so I also wrote down that was a good callback to the other comedians. I always like it when people do that because it kind of, I feel like when you're watching a show with multiple sets, it can be, the energy can feel kind of choppy. So calling back to a previous set, I think is a good way to like kind of establish a little bit of continuity there. And you kind of did a little crowd work with Tom there, like making fun of him for being a baby when the Mighty Ducks were the thing. So I thought that was a good way to kind of squeeze some crowd work into a Zoom mic. So let's see. Another thing I noticed that you did was you changed your tone and volume when you were talking about how in Canada they charged $45 for an ambulance and people were outraged. I thought that
They
was so
are.
good.
To this day. It's appalling.
Yeah, one time I had a seizure and I never mind. Uh, yeah. But I do like America as the idea of this like cautionary tale to the rest of the world about our shitty healthcare system. And I liked the story you told about your mom telling you like, yeah, in America, if your parents can't afford you, you have to live in the hospital. They leave you there.
That's
And
what
like I just got my mind went off on this tangent of like the hospital as like a baby pawn shop.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah. And like kids' minds are so funny with stuff like that that I feel like you could actually build on that a little bit more.
Okay.
Because like, you know, kids' minds will go in a completely weird direction. Like I heard that, you know, when I was a kid, I found out my dad had been married before he married my mom. And I assumed he just like everyone got a practice marriage. And he was really bad at it. So he had to get married a second time. Yeah, so also the bargain baby idea I thought was pretty funny. I'd expand that, just be like, so they give you a bargain baby, it's just like a shitty person when it grows up or something. Like the idea of like, what makes the baby such a bargain? Like what is the problem with this person that is making the hospital charge less for them?
But that's like the best case scenario though, is your baby only costs you $10,000.
Yes. Yeah, I know. That's why I'm not having kids.
Can't afford it.
Yep, and they're awful. Also, the dad's story really cracked me up because, like, even though like it's such a thing that's specific to you, the fact that your dad was like, "Oh, I have this funeral sticker, so I'm basically an ambulance," you know, like, that is like the daddest thing I've ever heard. Of like, no, we're saving money on the ambulance because I could drive her to the hospital. It's fine. I'm not paying $45 for the health and safety of my child when I have this funeral sticker for free. I thought that was a really good anecdote. So, and then I know at the end, like, you kind of had more time than you thought, but obviously a conclusion would have just helped tie things up in a neat bow. But
I don't know what to put at the end of it. Like, that's kind of like what happens is like, what do? You put the baby in a bag.
Yeah.
Like I genuinely have so many questions about how American mothers function.
Usually just by leaving the workplace and making less money, I think. But that's a topic for another type of show.
Now I have more questions.
Oh God, we're always giving Desiree more questions.
But yeah, I think there's enough material there that like just do a little bit more writing and you'll figure a way to write yourself a conclusion there.
Okay.
There's definitely space for it, and you definitely have enough material. It's just a matter of like putting the jokes down on paper.
Okay.
So yeah.
And actually, since Roz mentioned that, and especially the bit with the funeral bumper sticker, and like it would cost so much. I feel like from watching your other sets and like your other material, there's also a running theme in your family of like putting like the children in physical harm's way for the sake of a good deal. Like this felt like it could connect well to the bit you have about the baby gate.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
If this is your first time tuning in, she has a bit about
we're not spending
baby
$10 on a baby cake.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Yes.
But yeah, that's it. Give it up for Desiree, everybody. Woo! Awesome and blossoms. We only have one comedian left on our list tonight. So give it up. He's funny. He's hilarious. I believe last time we discovered he's friends with John. Give it up for Sean Powers. Woo, 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 woo.
Thank you, Tom. That's the best credit I've ever gotten. John, he's got a friend. You wouldn't believe me, but 3 weeks ago I showed my students. I'm blanking on the name. The Mighty Ducks. I'm from Minnesota. And Desiree, if I was feeling really American, I would be offended that you're taking our material, like appropriating my culture. Also, I was a bag baby, so maybe don't do that joke either. I am actually, or I have been actually, an international school teacher for the last 7 years. And people always ask, why did you leave the United States? And in college, I saw this video of these just poor, malnourished children living in this corrupt political system, just riddled by diseases and natural disasters. And it was the United States of America, where our funding is lower than our test scores. And our teachers are higher than our healthcare costs. How's that? But I lived in Latin America for 6 years, 3 in Guatemala and 3 in Colombia, which, no, it didn't make me a drug smuggler. It kind of made me a job. Like, I'll turn my nose up at terrible coffee, and I only put it down for quality cocaine. But after COVID, my international teaching contract was canceled, which kind of makes sense. Like in Latin America, the worst problems were spread by white people traveling. I'm glad you didn't laugh at that, because that is not working my Tinder opener. But if you think about it, white people, we spread the worst diseases down there. Smallpox, influenza, herpes. I'm only responsible for one of those. You can blame police for the other 2. Thank God it wasn't smallpox. But this year, I decided to form what's called a learning pod. And I moved back home, and in my parents' neighborhood, we take a group of kids from the same school, and because it's a gathering, we have to secretly meet in one of the parents' basements. So our school is like a cross between Little House on the Prairie and Fight Club. The first rule of Learning Pod is you can't talk about Learning Pod. Now it's like a true like Pioneer West school, because it's like a mixed group of kids. There's 1 4th grader, 2 3rd graders, and 4 1st graders. I'm a high school teacher by training, so teaching elementary school is tough because this job is emasculating. And the hardest part is the Little House on the Prairie dress that they make me wear. That is too far. But we had a STEM lesson, and in the STEM lesson, we had to proportionally draw out the solar system, and they had to walk, and eventually it led to Uranus, and I was expecting laughter. But 1st graders, they don't know that word. It's not like part of their sight words. And I don't know if you know what sight words are. It's like words designed for kids to memorize so they can decode a sentence really fast. I'm not like, hey kids, today we're gonna be learning the sight words your, that, and anus. Oh, Lewis, I said pull out your pencils, not that. Oh. But there's always that one kid in class who just like ruins everything. Like, teaching elementary school is bittersweet because the kids start off innocent, but there's always one kid that ruins it. And it's embarrassing for that kid. It's like when you're talking and you're telling a story and you're making everybody laugh and people are just, you're killing it. And then you realize you have food all over your face. And they're not laughing with you, they're laughing at you. Now, this 3rd grader started laughing, and he was like, hey guys, anus just means butt cheeks. I was like, okay, I'm not going to correct that one. I'm going to let that one go because that's cute. And I'm going to let, other teachers and their parents deal with that problem. Like, imagine those kids coming home and they're like, Mom, today we got to learn about the planets. There's a planet named butt cheeks. Mom's like, actually, it's, you know what? You're right. You're doing a great job in school there. Or like in future English classes, they'll be raising their hand. They'll be like, Mr. Johnson, I don't know if this is a technical version of irony. Like, was it tongue in cheek or is it tongue and anus? I missed 4 of my jokes, and that's the time I have. And it, good thing I'm ending up on time. I don't really know how to end this. Dug myself into a hole, and I'm gonna stay in this hole.
Woo! Yeah, give it up for holes, everybody! Also for Sean Powers! Woo! Awesome. Okay. You are our last person, so I get to kick the timer out of the room. Bye! So... notes time. The first thing I want to say is just because feel like it's it's rare that I actually am with it enough to remember to like recommend other shows or other mics for which your material would be suited, but specifically since you have some teaching stuff, I believe Rampantly has a mic called Chalk Talk, which is specifically for like people with teacher material, which I feel like this fit really well into. So if you haven't already, check that out. And I hope that you didn't, because it means I contributed a good resource, which my inner librarian is loving right now.
My inner librarian.
I mean, I guess outer librarian too, since I do that. But
I'm a closeted librarian. Not proud enough to come out yet.
yeah, I mean, I forget if
Dewey's inside here. Dewey's here.
Inner librarian would be like an English teacher, I feel. Anyway, no, so you also started off your set a la Desiree. We're just gonna attribute like that quality to her whenever you can like start your set by tagging the previous comic. But I think that what I noticed with your set is part of why it's so important and is such a good move is because it does like break things up, and it shows that you are thinking of the show as a whole by trying to create that transition. Didn't know you were from Minnesota. That's fun. And speaking of that, I liked the joke about like, oh, you know, the impoverished country of the United States. That was a fun premise. And I'm not sure what it was about the delivery on funding lower than test scores. But I think that maybe if it's just delivered like a little bit faster, or like maybe eye contact with the camera, which is hard, more directly, it'll land better, because I'm looking back at it now and I'm like, that is a strong joke. And I'm not sure what it was that like disconnected for me on it. And then you immediately brought me back in with the high teacher bit that immediately followed. But just consider playing around with the pacing on the joke before that, because you also have a nice little safety cushion with the tags so that you can try stuff out on that joke without necessarily throwing away the whole set, which is something that I do in my comedy. I think that South America can be dug into as much as the teaching stuff was. And you already gave us like a good amount of material on South America, but I think that like just having those experiences and those travels, like I know there's more in there and we can hear it. So just see if there's more stuff in there. And now halfway through, and we're gonna look at the teaching stuff. This is like a little bit of almost want to tell you to hopefully come back next week when we have Lisa here, because she will have insight into the learning pod joke, because I believe she's doing something with her kid of that nature right now. But as far as like the initial analogy of like it being like Fight Club, I think is really strong. And we just need to justify it more by drawing like 2 more analogies in how Learning Pod is like Fight Club. Just 2. And then Little House on the Prairie dress was funny. I thought Uranus was funny. And I'm glad that you brought the sight words bit of it into it, because it made it more than just a butthole joke. And on that...
Sorry, I'm immature. If you say butthole...
No, you should. And most people should laugh at butthole. But I'm just saying, like, you elevated it by, like, putting in the context of sight words.
You elevated the butthole.
Elevate it. Yeah, you want to prop it up.
Sean Powers Bottom.
Sean Powers Bottom. That's for your OnlyFans handle. But nonetheless,
I'm gonna take that.
Yes, of course. That's what feedback mics are for. Sight words, though, I want you to do more on, and you started to with like you're that and anus, and then like the tag with pencil. But I just think because it does require that additional step of exposition, because you have to like very quickly explain what sight words are, that for the investment of time into that explanation, you want to make sure you get more mileage out of it. So any other funny sight words that you can think of and put in context along the lines of what you did with pencil would be great. And then, also, I noticed that something that you do good about your comedy is when you were doing the joke, like the food all over your faces, you're very good at like being able to gesticulate throughout your set and like express yourself through your gestures, while also like remaining within the confines of the Zoom box, as Lisa would say. But also, since I've already mentioned Lisa twice, I'm also going to say great POV, because that's something that we've been missing from this episode and last episode. Is that something she always says? Anyway, that's it from me. Razzle dazzle.
All right, direct from the nozzle.
That faucet in her closet.
I also just want to point out my last two notes I have, like that I wrote down, were anus joke and then right under that holes. But anyway,
so I should have seen that.
I also liked how you did a callback. I thought the idea of a bag baby is really funny. It made me think of a very small homeless woman who was also an infant. I don't know. I thought you did your jokes, like a few of them had a really nice symmetry to them, where you talk about, teachers higher than your test scores. The only reason I'm putting good coffee down is to pick up better cocaine. Like, I thought that section was very, very strong with your punchlines and your setups. So I definitely think that's like a good bit to kind of use when you need something that's going to get a laugh. And then the diseases thing where you kind of got two punchlines out of one joke, I thought was good, where you said, I only gave people one of the three. And of course everyone's like, okay, you spread herpes. Because like that's the one that still exists. Okay, now, like when you say thank God for smallpox, that like little misdirection was good. The learning pod joke I think is actually pretty cool because it's an aspect of the pandemic that I don't think a lot of people are really joking about as much, but it's one of those common experiences that I'm sure a lot of people can relate to. I also liked the Little House on the Prairie reference. And I like how you kind of brought it at the end. Two times. I also noticed, I don't know if you did this on purpose, and I also just caught it when I was writing and looking up. When you were doing your impression of the kid talking to you, were you looking like in a different direction than? Yeah. So that's one thing I wanted to point out, especially since we're all confined to our boxes. Line of sight with your eyes, especially when you're in this close-up format, is something is a really good trick you can use if you're trying to kind of swap characters or something like that. Because if you're performing, like you've got on a stage, you're in 360, like you can do things with your body, you can do things with your hand. But with this, like one thing we really can use is line of sight, because people are going to be making eye contact with you. So I thought that was one thing that you did that was pretty effective, and was good to kind of make us realize you're switching to that kid's point of view. The other thing is I liked how you kind of swapped up the Uranus joke, because like I kept waiting for the joke to come, and I knew it was going to come at some point, but you mentioned like Uranus like 3 times without making a joke about it. And I kept being like, okay, so it's not this time. And then like it finally came, and I thought that was really cool. 'Cause I was kind of using like kind of using people's expectations to force them to pay attention, because it's like, you know,
All
everyone.
the edging.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you finally
Good
came to
edging.
it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'll shut up.
So yeah, I thought that was good. And your delivery was pretty strong overall, so I thought that was good. And once again, like just maybe write out the ending a little bit or just polish it up a little bit. I definitely struggle with endings myself, so I think they're the hardest part to do, but especially if you're working in a tight time frame. But I think you could have just maybe tightened that up a little bit. But other than that, it was great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Cool, cool, cool. Everybody give it up for Sean Powers. Ah,
That's
headliner of the open mic or feedback mic. Woo, 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 woo. Awesome. All right, let's make things weird while I spotlight myself as we do the outro, because again, that was our headliner, last comedian of the night. Big thank you to my co-host Roz, to the comedians for being so open to feedback, and of course to our awesome audience, if you're out there, if you exist. This is an episode of Black Mirror existentialism. Again, if you want to support the stream, you can do so at district-comedy.live or hit that share, like, or subscribe button. And if you want to be on the show, you can sign up using the link in the episode description. I'm going to plug Jack Off with Friends one more time, just because I really want people to sign up for that show. That'll be Sunday at 8. And again, all of our shows are sign-upable at district-comedy.live/sign-up. That's